Hey everyone, 59 Watts here. Welcome to the channel. Have you ever wanted to go behind the scenes to see an artist's work in the studio? That's exactly what you're going to get to do today. I'm going to take you behind the scenes as I record a brand new 59 Watts song, and you're going to get to see exactly how one artist can go into the studio, record and produce guitars, drums, bass, and vocals all in one session. It's a really intimate look with very little editing at exactly what a recording process can look like. It's a fantastic experience. I hope you guys enjoy that intimate look and maybe even take away some things that help you make your very best music. All right, guys, if you like what we're doing here, please make sure you like and subscribe. It is the best way for a new channel like ours to grow and for us to share the music. All right, let's get into it. Hey, so what I'm going to do today is something I've only just recently started to do. I started to realize in my writing and recording process that basically I have spent a lot of time jamming with the band. And what I mean by that is, like, I'll spend a lot of time on things that I've already done. Like, I have written the verse, but I vamp on the verse. And part of that is part of the writing process in and of itself, that, like, it's how the song gets ingrained, how it gets aged, if you will, in me, because by the time I want to record it, I'd like it to be a little bit something that I know and kind of feel, and not trying to catch the feeling to. And that's not always the case, and it won't really be the case probably with what I try to do now at this moment, because what I'm going to try to do is something that is different than jamming with the band and playing a song over and over again as I work through it. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to try to do a session here. And so you can get an idea of kind of like what the process looks like. So not long ago, I came up with the melody and structure for a brand new song. And you may or may not have seen me talk about that. But what I need to do is I need to kind of refresh myself and then start kind of my recording process. And this is going to be a real condensed one. I'm putting some time constraints or pressure on myself. I'm not going to literally time it, but I feel some time pressure because I only have a small window of time to work with. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh my memory in terms of like kind of how the song generally goes, so on and so forth, with my guitar. And this guitar is one that's been with me for just about ever. And it's the guitar that I used to write lots of songs on and tour. Some of my very earliest songs were written on this one, and play with my band. And it's just been with me ever since. And it is super trusty, super reliable. And so I figure I would just grab it really quickly to just familiarize myself and not have to fool with it too much to get what I need out of it, which is this part is just me kind of like remembering the vibe of the song and everything like that, so that when I move to my next step, which will be working on some drums, which will lay the groundwork for the actual recording, that I'll have that in mind, because what I'm going to basically do is play that song in my head. I used to have to play the guitar every time I wanted to figure out whether or not drums would work with a song or whatever. But over the years, I've been able to, thank goodness, just be able to play it all in my head and kind of work out the math of it, if you will, you know, kind of as I do it. So that process has gotten easier. Hopefully it'll be pretty easy today. We'll see. Anyway, let me kind of get to just refreshing my memory on a couple of things. Okay, something like that. So I played around, did a little ending a little bit differently than I have done it in the past, just to kind of get a sense of what that would feel like. So I'll listen back at some point, and you know, decisions will keep getting made. But that's the basic structure of the song, and now I have it kind of in my head. So I'm moving on. Ooh, sorry about the loud sound there. So what am I moving on to? What I'm moving on to now is I'm going to bring up my DAW. up my digital audio workstation here, and I am going to check the camera, make sure we're still recording. Okay, good. That's looking good. All right, so I fired up my DAW, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new template project. So I've got a template here that I use to kind of quickly get me the things I'll generally need for a session. So I'm looking for my most recent one. Got a bunch of old ones in here. All right, got it. All right, so I'm saving that old session. And we're gonna go in, let this thing fire up. Not the most exciting. It's taking a little while. This is the joy of working with computers. I basically want it now. I find myself doing that a lot, like, you know, throughout most of my life. Like, let's go. I'm literally standing in front of the microwave going, let's go. All right, so now what I need to do is I'm gonna focus on drums, as I mentioned. So I'm gonna go in here, find my drum track, or this is where my track's gonna be. And okay, it's already queued up here. And so I'm gonna just start playing the song in my mind. So this is super like internal. So you're not gonna see a lot, except for like kind of like maybe you'll see my wheels spinning and the steam coming off my head or something like that. But that's about it. It's all gonna go on inside, and you're gonna hear me kind of sample different things as I think about kind of what this song might need. And I for whatever reason, I love to start with the verse. So I need to set a tempo. So I'm gonna tap that in. So, you know, that says about 87 beats per minute. My buddy who plays drums with me, well, I don't play the drums. He plays drums while I play other things. And he told me the other day, is something I didn't know, that basically like most of my songs fall between like 85 beats per minute to like, I don't know, like he said like 100 or something like that. So I have this like sweet spot that I generally find, oh, this is where I'm just kind of going to, which means that one of these days I'm going to be purposefully trying to move out of that sweet spot, because that means it's going to be able to be something that probably spurs something new, a new way of my approaching a song or thinking about a song. So that's for another day. But anyway, I'm going to see if this tempo actually works. So I'm going to start trying to find some beats, and I'm working with this drum program that's set up a little bit differently than I am used to. It's the same program, but it's like a newer version. And so I've only used it like maybe under 10 times. And so I'm still getting kind of used to it. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find a kit. So I'm ignoring all of the beats and everything. I'm just trying to find a kit I like. So I'm going to start listening to this guy. And I'm just going to start sampling different drums to see if I hear something that just strikes me. I'm going to start with this modern vintage drum because I kind of like that a lot. I've used it, you know, a fair amount. A little roomy sounding. I'm going to get all of this other stuff off of this track. So I just pulled basically all of the like I had reverb and stuff on it. I don't want that. I just want to hear the drums. That's all I want to hear. I don't want to hear it souped up or anything. Okay, I'm going to sample, like, that's fine. That's fine. But I'm going to sample something else. Just to have like something in my ear, maybe something to strike me a little bit differently. There's nothing wrong with that one, the original one, or that modern vintage one I was listening to. Huh. not bad either. So far it's that and this. It's definitely a roomier sound. And let me try this vintage section. Oh, that's interesting. It's really interesting. It sounds like, I like that. I don't know, for whatever reason, that's giving me like a live vibe. Like, oh, I'd like that, you know, for a recording that I wanted to make sound that kind of have like a live feel to it. Just lo-fi tape. It's not really the vibe I'm going for here. No. So what I'm hearing is this, I mean, in my head, I'm hearing it's pretty straight ahead. It's vibe to the drums. So it doesn't have to be anything really weird or edgy or anything like that. It needs to just complement the song. That's what I'm looking for. It's not really punchy. Interesting. Okay, so we're not gonna fool with this too long. I think that modern vintage sounding drum was just fine. This one right here, a little airy, a little reverby, if you will, like ambient. Like so you can hear the room a lot there. What's this dry rock one again? Nope. And then I like this. What's this tape filter? It's interesting. Just checking it for fun, not really for this song. It was this and the original mix I thought was pretty good. Yeah, we're gonna go with this one this time. And so now I need to find a verse I like. A verse. Let me see if my tempo's okay. It's a little too slow, I think. I just sampled the chorus in my head there and then hummed it a little bit. And I think it's just a little too slow. Let's try this one. Maybe a little too fast. I'm gonna go in between. Okay, we're gonna go with that. About 88 beats per minute. And let's try to find a verse now. So let me find some grooves I like. Stay in there. I mean, that might be okay. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm playing the song in my head, the verse, singing the melody. Yep. I feel like timing wise that works and everything like that. Like it feels like the tempo is good. So I'm going to take that guy. I'm going to drag it over here. I'm going to put it in my song timeline. And I'm going to get some options for other parts. And I'm going to try to build out the song. That's my goal here, is I'm going to build out this thing. And I'm going to do it just part by part, and then move on to the next step of my recording process. And what I'm doing is I'm conflating recording and writing at the same time, which is not something I ever used to do, but from a production standpoint now, I'm doing it more and more. It used to be because I had all the time in the world and I didn't have the ability to record everything and anything I wanted. I used to woodshed a song, write it all out, play it mostly on acoustic guitar, do it over and over and over and again, and one day I would have the chance to record it potentially. And so by that time, the song was really well aged. This time now, what I'm doing kind of in the last few years is I'm doing it all together. I'm making the whole production together. And usually the last bit is a final vocal and the final lyrics and everything like that. But I'm building out the whole song kind of as I go, because once I know it, I feel like I have enough experience now that once I play it through the kind of the way I played it through earlier, I know it. I know everything's there for the song. And it's just a matter of my curating again and polishing and vibing and getting that feel, and then trying to get that feel out into, the finished product. So anyway, that's kind of some insight into what I'm thinking here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to gather some more parts. So I'm going to build out some space in the front here that I can use to give me space for the intro. And then I'm going to start singing out the verses in my head. So I might start right here. So forgive the tonality. This is not about tone. It's just about whether or not it all matches up. Perfect. That's great. So now I'm looking for a pre-chorus here. This does not usually happen, but right now I am landing very early on into the things that I want. That sounded pretty good. Let's test another one. I like that syncopation. Man, if the song was going to be like a banger, I would probably go for something like that. This is a little bit more ballad-like. Ooh, that's cool though. I like that. Okay, let's try the next one. Yeah, like if I was going to go into a really much heavier chorus, I'd go with something like that. But I'm liking this version right here. So let's try it. Yeah, so I'll probably end up putting a fill in there before a chorus. So what I want to make sure that I didn't miss in this is that so far I worked through getting a pre-chorus, and I was working through a chorus and I couldn't find quite the right, situation I wanted for the chorus beat-wise and everything like that. But I think I landed on something that's going to work. And so right now the idea is just to get that skeleton down. It's okay because I can go back in later. And if I don't really feel like that, that vibe on the drums is working, then I can, change them out or whatever. But right now I'm just trying to get a structure down so that I can start layering, what ultimately is going to make the song. It's a little bit of trial and error. And so that's why I'm okay just kind of setting this one in. It'll work fundamentally. The math works. The question is, does the feel work? Like, does it really make me, feel like it's hitting where it needs to be hitting? And that's a question for another day. This is all about just setting down an initial draft. So I've got a chorus that sounds like this. Okay, so I know that's working. Okay, so I'm just going through the song in my head right now. So this part would be like, I don't know. Perfect. All right, good, good, that's working. All right, so it's gonna go back into a verse. So now I know I can replicate this whole section here because it's all going to be the same there for that second verse and how it leads into the chorus. Ba da ba da ba ba da. Yep. Okay. Sorry for all the bad singing, but this is kind of how I do it. I would normally just do that in my head, but like, how would you know what was happening, right? So I'm singing it a little bit outside or out loud, and that way you know exactly what I'm thinking. So this is another chorus. Cool. If I get to the other end of the chorus, fast forwarding now, trying to move along instead of dilly-dallying or hanging out. So now that's good. That's the end of the second chorus, and I've got a bridge section here. So I'm going to find something I think works well with a bridge section. Nope. 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 No, none of those are working. Okay. No. Okay, that's not going to work. So let's try some other parts here. Now the bridge is very much a little bit of a departure, I think, from the rest of the song. No. None of those are working here. Nope. All right, let's hear the last section of the chorus. Let's try that again. So coming out of the chorus, let's see, halfway through the chorus is here. Is that right? Let's try the beginning of the chorus. This second half. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay, I think we got it. All right, that was pretty smooth, actually. You know, to get a draft of the drums down. I'll probably do like some fills and things like that. But I just need to name this project. So let's see, we're gonna call this, If You Don't Feel It, working title, song project, working title. I have no idea what to call it yet. So for now, that's what it's gonna be called. Okay, cool. So let me see how long this song would be. At 88 bips per minute, it looks like it would be about okay, right, you know, maybe right around the 4-minute mark or so. Okay, so a little bit longer, maybe than, you know, necessarily I would ideally go for here. I used to go for, like, you know, way back in the day when people had all the time in the world to be listening to one song. You know, 4.5 to 5 minutes was fine. That is just not the, you know, kind of target we're looking for as far as attention span is concerned, for me at least today. So so fine, that's great. I'm not worried about it. I'm not letting those kinds of things drive the art. I'm just, you know, making sure that I'm not too far off the mark, which is not a bad idea. Okay, cool. So now what we're gonna do is, next phase, gonna fire up some guitar amps, and I'm gonna start tracking some guitar on it, just scratch tracks, probably won't be kept or anything like that, but I'm gonna start finding out what this song is gonna build out like. That's what's next, okay? Stay tuned. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm gonna fire up this amplifier, and just I obviously set these things up so that it's easy to place my mics. Mic's in a good position there. I also want a room mic on this thing. So I'm gonna grab this guy over here, and I'm gonna let this amp warm up. While I do that, I'm going to set this mic as a distance mic, because I like to pick up some of the room sound and kind of blend them together in some of these recordings. So this guy is going to get positioned. This is not ideal, and if I weren't working so fast, I'd probably move the cabinet out, but I'm not going to do that right now. And I'm just going to see what I can get. And I'd love all my studio engineer people who are watching this to tell me everything I'm doing wrong here, because that would be funny, because there's probably a lot I'm doing wrong, but this is how I do it. Not exactly this, but in the interest of time, this is what we're going for. I got some of these speakers obscured. That's not ideal. It's interesting. I'm thinking about picking up the sound off axis, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get too fancy. I want to see if I can really get some decent sounds out of this. And I haven't really used this guitar amp to track, this setup to track much, if ever, actually. And so it'll be cool to see what I'm getting out of it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some sounds. Now, which guitar to choose for this song? I like the sounds I was getting out of the guitar that I was using when I was coming up with the sounds. And so I like to give that instrument always the first chance at the tracking. So I'm on the other side of the studio now, grabbing that guitar. So as I was saying, when I started working on this song, I started working on it with this guitar. And so usually, just, I don't know, it's like a sentimental thing. I like to try to give the guitar I was working with when I started working on the idea for the song, the first go round trial for tracking. So that's what I'm going to do. So I got to make sure my wires are clear because I don't want to be pulling microphones over and stuff. I'm going to fire up my preamps. Well, I already fired those up. Call that unconscious competence, I hope. So I already fired those guys up, which is great. And so I need to pick what I'm going to run through for this song. And I think I'm going to use this pedal board with the Shotmaker heartbeat on it, because that's what I was using when I was working out some of the preliminary stuff in the song. So we're going to go with that too. Okay, run some power to that board, and we're going to start working on some sounds here. And I'm going to immediately head over and start trying to track at least some scratch. Yeah, I like that. That's okay. Some scratch tracks for guitar. Okay, let's try to get some sounds. So we're gonna work fast here too. All right, that's in the dirty channel right now. Okay, that's the clean channel. Okay, let's turn the preamp on. Okay, all right, I think I'm liking that. What if I added some reverb? Okay, sound a little bit too roomy for me, so we're gonna back off a little bit of that vibe. Maybe we're a little bit more like that. The room a little bigger. Let's try that. So I don't want to marry myself down to any particular reverb sound right now. So I'm going to leave the reverb off. I like the tremolo vibe. So I don't know if I'm going to track with it though. Okay, what if I hit that with the boost? What does that sound like? Okay. Hey man. Okay. Don't have to fool with this too much. Checking the volume in the room, and I think that's going to be adequate volume for what I'm looking to track here. Let's see. And okay, cool. All right, tune up. Make sure I'm in tune. Always before you track, make sure you're in tune. And then I like to check the tuning by ear. Yep. Always check by ear. And we're in good shape. Now, I want to test one more thing, which is I want to test the lead tone here. Just so I have one quickly at my disposal if I need it. I could add delay to it and some reverb. Get it sound like this. Yeah, I'm not digging that reverb sound right now. Close that room down a bit. Yeah, a little boxy for me right now. Try that. Yeah, all good. Don't need to work on that right now, but this is how you lose time. Can't rush the creative process, but I'm rushing the creative process on purpose for productivity's sake. All right, cool. So that's what I've got. Now it's time to go over and try to track it. Okay, we're ready to move to stage 2 here. And I keep reminding myself that I need to put everything down to move stuff where it needs to be while I'm doing this, because for the first time I like knocked over a guitar. Literally, it was in its case, thank goodness, and it seems like it's okay. But like, you know, you get clumsy when you're like trying to like do all this nonsense or whatever. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's the uninteresting reality of recording. You guys are seeing it here in all of its glory. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to track some guitar for this song. So I need to set up and make sure that I've got all my appropriate, yep, there it is, mics ready to go. Okay, so that one I need, make sure it's all plugged in there. I'm gonna turn on my phantom power to the mic that's gonna capture the guitar in the room. So I just turn that on the preamp. Let's see if I have any signal. There's my signal, trusty. Great, I just want to make sure that mic is selected over here on the physical preamp section. Yes. And yes. All right. I was going to make sure I'm recording off the raw mic because some of the other mics will pick up, but they're not actually situated. All right, so let's see. For now, I'm going to track right through my headphones. So you're not going to hear what I'm tracking to, but I'll play it back to you, I promise. Okay, cool. That's a vibe that's working, I think. A little bit more volume in my... Ah, I like that. That heartbeat. It's got a cool, you know, tonality to it. It's all its own thing. I always keep this tuner handy right here so that I can remember to tune up if I start hearing something go out. It's always a good idea to tune before you do your takes anyway, but I try to generally keep that to a necessity level as opposed to a frenetic crazy level. All right, so let's see what we get, and we're gonna play around here a little bit because we don't really know. We don't have guitar parts written for the song, really. We just kind of know what the song is, and so we're just gonna kind of go for it here. So I'm gonna start playing some intro guitar. So I just tested the open chords, and I like that better right now. Rather than the power chords I was playing before. Okay, so, all right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna retrack. I'm gonna check another set of guitars, or just one more guitar on there, and just to get, you know, really 2 or 3 takes on it. But here's the reality of things. I have to run an errand, important one. So, and I just found out about that just a little while ago, which I'm sure all of you guys can relate to. And so I'm gonna have to take a break on this session and try to come back to it. So I'm gonna try to track one more guitar. Really what I wanna do is I wanna take 2 passes at the guitar, 2 more passes at this particular one before I move on to developing some other things, but I really can't. So I'm gonna just track one more if I can here and go from there. So here we go. And I'm going to use the learnings that I had from my last go round to try to make this other pass maybe more in line with kind of what I'm thinking or feeling so far. Oop, I missed my entry because I'm paying attention to talking to you guys. Let's try that again. Okay, so that's all I can do right this second, and I'll have to come back to this, but let's just hear a little bit of what we got here, okay? So this is a guitar each of the takes. Lots of mistakes in there for now. Okay, so that's where we'll leave it for the moment. We're really going to do something I rarely ever do. I'm going to put a guitar right on the ground, and we'll call it there for now. Okay guys, we're back. I was able to track those guitars, and so I just have, you know, there are going to be probably a lot more guitars on this song, but I just needed the bass outline of the guitars themselves for, you know, what we're trying to accomplish today. So at this point, what I'm going to do is listen back really quickly here, just get a kind of sense of where we are and how things are shaping up with just the guitars and the drums. And so as I was going through this, what I was thinking is I'm really liking, you know, the tone and the feel. It feels like it suits really well what I'm trying to accomplish. And as I listen to each of the tracks, like if I just isolate that room, there's just a real vintage aesthetic that I like about that sound. And you know, the way I'm really getting it is I think it's a combination of the amp settings, but really also the character of the pedal that I'm using, the heartbeat pedal, which, as I said, doesn't sound like your standard amp. And when I say standard amp, what I mean by that is it doesn't sound to me like a Vox or a Fender or, you know, a Marshall sound. There's a certain warmth and a roundness to it that I'm really appreciating here. And the speaker combination I'm using, I believe what's in that cabinet over there is a Celestion G12 T75 is my guess. And there are 4 of them in that cabinet. Yeah, believe it or not, I'm using a 412 cabinet inside. There's just for some reason I found with that cabinet, it seems to be very revealing. Like there's a certain clarity involved in that cabinet and the speakers that are in it that really brings out the tonality of the guitar and the adjustments made to the guitar or the EQ or so on and so forth. And so I find it to be really, really honest. And so I'm really liking that about the room mic sound here. I'm going to play that again. And the guitar is honest too, you know. I try to get the playing to be honest because I don't have a choice. You know, I play in an effort to write, and so there's so many guitar virtuosos out there. I love to watch them play, and I've been playing probably at the same level since I don't know how long. And then in the last 10 years, maybe my level of playing has improved. You know, for you know, focusing in on it a little bit more, but I'm still a songwriter, and that's what I'm trying to do with it. There's a certain honesty to the instrument as well, and maybe one of these days I'll talk about kind of why I choose, you know, the instruments that I do, you know, and the nexus of value that I'm looking for in a guitar, because you could buy guitars for thousands and tens of thousands of dollars if you wanted to. But again, I look at them as tools and paintbrushes. And so sometimes I find some sounds out of, you know, inexpensive guitars and affordable guitars and so on and so forth. And it doesn't really matter to me what they are. It matters to me if they're able to produce the colors that I'm hoping to get. And so this particular one is really honest in that it is imperfect. There's one guitar that I have that I used to play with in the band all the time. It was really the only main guitar that I had. And it is the same one that I used to track with that song with Eddie Kramer when my band was in the studio with him a long time ago. And for some reason, I find myself not picking it up very much because it seems almost too perfect. It is very precise. It is right on. It is just, it's everything that it was manufactured to be. And I don't know if it's me feeling like I'm not a worthy enough player, but I feel like, you know, to some degree, there's a certain honesty in a little bit of imperfection. And I'm hearing that imperfection here a little bit. And so I'm interested to see how it turns out, you know, in the mix, whether or not I appreciate it or don't appreciate it. But right now it's an honest rendition. So let's take a listen to the other track, which is the close mic. So the close mic is here. Before we go to that close mic, let's make sure we're still in good shape. Awesome. All right, let's take a look at that close mic. So if this was the room mic, this is the close mic. Got a little bit of proximity effect on it, a little bassier on there. We'll see how that all turns out. And if you put them together, they sound like this. Close mic. Distance mic. And you're hearing this just in the room, so you're not hearing like a direct feed of this audio, at least right now. I'll try to get a more direct sound for the song itself. But this is the room mic, close mic here. together and with the drums. Okay, cool. So that's what we've got so far. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move from here now, which is very common for me to do. I'm going to move from here to tracking bass. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. And for bass, I'm going to track direct. So I'm going to go right in direct through my interface. And I'm also going to use a plugin that I like a lot that simulates a console that I like. And it's going to give it a little bit of a console sound, warm it up a little bit, give it a little bit of console mojo. That I can't get just directly through the interface itself. And we're going to try to track some bass. So in order to do that, I've got to kind of learn some bass. So I'll have you watch me kind of learn some bass, because I don't know, I haven't written the bass lines to the song yet or anything like that. So I'm going to sit down and try to figure it out and see what feels right. And we'll lay down that track as well. And that'll give a skeleton of the song. And then probably what I'll do, if I have time here, which is the hope, is I will lay down a scratch vocal over this with dummy lyrics and let you hear a little bit of that. And that's probably where we will, stop for the moment, because then I want to concentrate on kind of listening to what I have, rounding it out a little bit, working on, guitar instrumentation for it, and working on lyrics, of course, and really getting this song to be, what I hope it can be, the best song that I can write, from it. So that's the goal. So anyway, next up, bass. Okay. All right, so I'm just getting set up to track bass. This is the only instrument that I have that is not black, white, or gold. I had almost always only bought instruments that were black because it started to trend, and then I stuck with it, and I really like them. And when I look at them, they make me go like sometimes if I see one that I really like, and it makes me feel like I hear that rock sound, that kerrang sound in my head, which means I got really excited about it and passionate about it and thought, oh yeah, I think this could help me make some really good music. And that's usually what determines whether or not I'm going to buy a guitar. So most of them have been black guitars. But the story behind this one is actually kind of funny. So the story with this is that when I was about 20, 21 maybe or so, I was just beginning to start recording, trying to record stuff on my own. And so I was writing like I am now, as always, and have been. And I was using this old like Roland hard disk recorder, which I bought. I can't remember. I think it was like an 880 or something like that. It was like a model number for it. And it was funny because, I would record straight to that, and then I would have to pipe everything that I had into the sound card of a computer. It was just like such a process. It was completely lame, but that's what I would be doing. And get this guy tuned up. And so I had rented this bass actually from a local instrument shop. And at 21 or so, 21, 22 years of age, whatever I was playing it all the time that I could and using it to track intermittently, the songs that I was writing. And it just felt like it was so far away to drive back to take this thing back. So I just rented it and rented it and rented it. And then what ended up happening was when I finally got the desire to get in a car and drive as far away as this thing was, which it wasn't even that far. It's closer then where I lived than it is now. And I drive there all the time now. Not all the time, but like frequently. But in any case, I decided to finally drive out there to return it and stop paying the rental fee on it. And when I got there, it was like the best news I had ever heard. They were like, dude, this is yours. And I was like, huh? And they were like, well, you've rented it long enough to own it, so it's yours now. And I was like, whoa. I mean, that was amazing. I mean, for all I knew, they could have just taken it back, but they were totally like, you rented it long enough to buy it and it's yours. And so I've had it ever since, and it's actually a really good bass, I think. All I know is it makes the bass sounds that I need, and that's how I consider a really good bass. But I think it's actually a USA made bass, believe it or not, which means generally that it's a pretty good bass, and it sounds good and it does the job, and I got it without expecting it. And so that's how I ended up with the only guitar like this that I have a blue bass, because I've never bought a blue guitar, I've never bought a red guitar, I've never bought any type of guitar, and for the longest time I only had black ones. And then recently, I'll tell you this story another time, I had a guitar made from my own custom design, and I got one model and it was black and it came broken in shipping, and they were kind enough to make me another one. And so I realized, okay, hey, you don't need me to send this back. And they said no, and I said okay. And I went ahead and got that one repaired, the black one. And I said, well, since I'm going to have the black one, I asked them, well, for this other one, can you just do it in white with a couple of other changes to the design? And they did. And so I got a white guitar, which was my first non-guitar that was black that I actually paid money for. And then recently I got like a gold top style guitar. And I got it just because it looked great and it looked like it was gonna be fun, and I decided to do it, and so it was fun, it's cool, and I've got it. But otherwise, that's how I ended up with a blue bass guitar. Anyway, enough of all that. Let's just make sure we're still recording. Cool. Let's try to learn some bass to this song. So you're actually going to be able to hear me do this because the bass is going in direct. And so therefore, it will, there's nothing that is going to interrupt the recording of the bass, which is good if I play it out loud. So it's all good that way. So let's see what we got going on here. Get a little sound. Yep. Got my bass DI settings all there. Okay. And I probably don't need, the input signal looks pretty good. So I'm gonna leave the input signal there. I'm gonna drag the, the volume down in the DAW itself. Okay, so let's see where we are, with the music here. Let's play some music. Let's see what we got going on. Remember how the song goes. Yeah. Okay, I decided what I have to do, guys, is I have to lay down a scratch vocal here with some just dummy lyrics type thing, because I really need something for to set the tone for what the bass should be doing. So I'm gonna go over and grab my mic that I would be using for that. So what I'm gonna do right now, real quick, is I'm gonna set this microphone up. I use this a lot to do scratch vocals, and sometimes they end up keepers because I like the mic a lot. I didn't expect to like it so much, but I do. Okay, guys, so as I was saying, what I'm gonna do here real quick is I'm gonna lay down turn off the studio lights. Okay, so what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna lay down a scratch vocal, which means just dummy lyrics, but I'm using it because the melody is set. I know where the melody is going for now. It'll evolve a little bit, as all songs do, but the melody is set as far as the essence of the song. And just like in live performance, how artists will just how they're singing it, go with a certain type of feel. I will do that as I go through a variety of performances of it until I start polishing exactly how that end vocal delivery of the melody is going to be. But for now, what I'm going to do is just put down dummy lyric melodies. And what they will do is they will hold place so that I can hear where the melodies are falling in order to make all of the other stuff complementary of the melody, because the melody is the most important thing. The melody is queen, right? So it is right there. And I need to make sure that as I'm figuring out what to do on bass and things of that nature, that I am also doing a good job of making sure that it places well and complements the lyric and the melody that ultimately will be in those spots. So here goes. We're going to do a take. And I'll keep rolling while I'm doing the take, but I probably won't share too much of that audio because I have no idea how it's gonna sound with this close mic on me. Okay. Let's see what we're looking like here. I'm gonna take a look at what's on this. There's a little bit of reverb, a slight bit of EQ, and a little bit of compression. That should be okay to track with. Check one, check one, check one. Yeah, I don't hear too much flanging, and this particular reverb is pretty low in terms of latency. So let's give this a whirl. Let's see what we got. I don't mind it when you say hello in the bottom of, and if you don't call it when you're holding on in the way you love. But I don't need you when it's gone. It's coming right down from the storm. Okay, so we're gonna need to take lots of reps on that song and work through it, you know, as the lyrics become into play when I start writing those. But for now, that will start putting the song in context as I build around the melody. And so now that I have that scratch dummy melody, which I'm going to play back here and take a quick listen to, that will help with all of that. And so I'll need to take lots of passes on that and get a feel for it and learn and age with the song so that ultimately I start getting the feel for how things should be delivered. And as I'm writing the lyrics, that will be a symbiotic process. What the song is about, what it feels like, what it does, will start to inform the delivery, and it may evolve and change from that. But at least now I have the essence of the melodies in place, and I can start playing around it to figure out what will complement and underpin that most essential part of the whole song. All right, so let's listen back. Let's see what we got. Let's see how crazy this sounds when you're just essentially ad-libbing is kind of how this works. I don't mind it when you say hello in the bottom row. If you don't call it when you're holding on in the way you love. Okay, so right there, I got a sense of kind of where we're sitting vocally and everything, and it feels super comfortable. It's just it feels good. I feel like we're on the right track. I pulled in the bass scratch track that I had been doing before, which is a complete mess, just to get a sense of kind of like, okay, what is it like when you introduce those bass frequencies? Everything seems to be sitting okay ultimately, and so I'm going to go back now that I have this scratch track, and I'm going to start working on the bass. Probably getting a lot of pickup from this microphone. Sorry about that. It's coming through the speakers. There we go. So anyway, I am gonna go grab the bass again, and now I'm gonna kind of woodshed on bass a little bit and see if I can learn the song like a bass player would learn the song, and to get into a groove and help underpin the overall vibe of the song, because bass and drums are so important in all of that. So we're gonna give that a shot. Now that I have those melodies placed in the song, I am going to be able to work around them. And so now that I have scratch melodies in place, dummy lyrics, I'm going to go back to bass, and I'm going to woodshed bass and see if I can come up with a bass line that underpins and supports and complements the song and complements the melody, most important of all, because the melody is, as I said, queen. So we're going to go to do that next. And I'm gonna do that woodshedding off camera because it's probably tedious to watch, because I'm not naturally a bass player, and so I play bass in order to support my songwriting and recording, as opposed to it being what I've ever played on stage or anything like that. And so it probably takes me longer than a real bass player would take to come up with the parts and things of that nature. So I'm going to work on that and then come back hopefully with something a little bit more ready to go and try to track it. All right, guys, so I just gave it a little bit of a listen through to check it out, and this is where we're gonna wrap for the day, because I think I achieved what I really wanted to out of the day, which was, or the couple of hours, I guess, that we've been here. But I wanted to make sure that I got down the general vibe of the song, and I think I was able to accomplish that. My goals were to come in here and get the drums going, get a basic set of guitar tracks, get bass and vocals down, and I was able to do all of that. So that's a real success. And so here's kind of what we have, and we can kind of listen through a little bit of it, and then I'll show you little bits and pieces, and then hopefully, in the not too distant future, I will have really finalized things with regard to lyrics, and I'll probably sit down a lot over the next number of days with just like an acoustic guitar and play the song and age it a little bit and really get a feel for what the song is all about. And that's how I really get into the lyrics and everything like that. And so just really start polishing it in that way and finding where the vocal needs to sit and how it needs to be delivered, which I really think makes a record. I think it really, when you hear someone like Jeff Buckley deliver a vocal, or, Connor from Nothing But Thieves, or, I think about like Wishing Well, Terrence Trent D'Arby, or, Seal did a cover of Jimi Hendrix's, what song was that? It was Jimi Hendrix's song. Shoot, I can't even remember the song, but you have to look it up because it is absolutely amazing. Just like, it's that one. It's like, after all the jacks are in their boxes, that whole deal. Oh, amazing. But I hear delivery from, artists that just obviously just blow our minds, and that's, what, on a record, you really want to try to, for me at least, I really want to try to capture, my best delivery and best take on that song. And that doesn't come from just singing the right notes, which I think is really important. But I think it's singing notes with that feel in a way that comes really from deep inside and that communicates what that song is all about. And so that takes a while, that takes you getting to know the song getting to know you in a way, and developing it. And so I will work on that. And so that way, when I come back in and I'm doing final things, like I'll try to do I'll have to write, lead guitar parts and play those, and listen to the structure again and make sure that I really like how everything is structured. And then last thing I'll tend to do is try to deliver, the best vocal I possibly can. So anyway, we got a little ways to go, obviously, get that, and I'm hoping to be able to complete all of that and then have a finished song that I can share with you guys, because that is the whole point of doing all this. But I hope that this is like a cool insight, at least, into kind of a recording process of at least me, an artist. And I'm sure like so many artists do it so many different ways, but there are probably some commonalities. So let's give it a quick listen, and then we'll sign off for next time. All right, here's what we have.
Don't mind it when you say hello in the golden morn. If you don't call it when you're holding on in the way you love. I don't need you when it's gone. Coming right down from the storm.
Okay. All right. I think we got somewhere today. I'm really happy with, how things are turning out. There's a few things that are sticking out to me right off the bat, and that did right immediately. I have not tracked with this amp and cabinet before. This is the first song I'm tracking with it. And I wanted to track with it, number one, because when I was working on the song initially, and its initial seeds were coming together. That's the amp, and this is the guitar. You can't see it; it's probably off camera right now. But it's a LP custom style guitar, and it was what I was working with. And I just out of sentimentality, I love to try to use the instruments that I was using when a song had its genesis, at least as the first go round for trying to track it, give them the first, if you would, shot on goal. And just out of sentimentality, really. And it doesn't mean that they will stick or be the end instruments or the end amp combination, but in this case, I really think that this might just be it. So I had mentioned to you that I'm using on this track, I'm using the Shotmaker, the heartbeat pedal, that I've done a demo on, and it'll either go up on the channel either before or after this. I don't really know yet. But if it's not up yet, stay tuned. It's coming. But anyway, I just love some of the character and tonality that's unique out of that. Like I said, not Vox, not Fender, not, Marshall. And that to me is really helpful in gear. And it's the reason why I use the gear that I have and try to find things that are a little bit unique and different, in order to, not, kind of trod the same path that everybody has trod and end up with the same sounds that everybody has ended up with. And so what I'm really happy with, and where I was going with all this, is that amp combination and cabinet seems to be really, really working for me. I think I mentioned to you that in that cabinet there are Celestion G12 T75s, I believe. I haven't opened it up to look because I got the cabinet used, which, I get a lot of stuff used, and most of the time I do open it up, but I didn't want to mess with this. I liked its sound, said whatever it is whatever it is. But that's what's typically in this particular cabinet. And there's something about an airiness that I'm getting out of it. I don't have a lot of mid-range pushing for the recording itself. And I just liked how that it seemed to provide a lot of space in the recording. And I feel like that's translating really well. Like there's nothing really managed here at all. There's not, I haven't, done any kind of mixes or anything like this. This is just all, a mix for tracking, and getting a sense of how things are coming together. And so I haven't EQ'd the guitar or anything like that. It's just what's coming out live. And I want to try to stay as close to those kinds of recordings to some degree as I can, because I think they're really, really honest recordings, and there's nothing wrong with layering your stuff with effects and all kinds of stuff. It's fun to do, and sometimes I definitely do it. But this recording feels really just natural to me, and I wanted some really natural tones. I felt like the guitar was given a really vintage vibe, and the Heartbeat preamp was really sounding really, really cool. I didn't get a chance to sample with the tremolo on this because I didn't want to commit to it. I can always put tremolo on later, but I think I might play with it at some point because it's such a beautiful sounding tremolo. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it gave you some insight into what the recording process can look like. It's different for every artist, I'm sure, but you kind of saw how I go through, each step, and you probably even saw a little bit earlier, maybe in another video, about when the song really started, to be written and coming together. And I was really inspired and excited to get to this spot. And now I'm excited to get to the next spot. So I will sit down with an acoustic guitar. I will play through this a lot, and I will age it. And what I mean by aging a song is live with that song and really get it down to the point where, it's different when you perform the song for like 2 years rather than performing the song for a few days. And by the time you're performing a song for a few years, you really know it inside out, and the delivery of that vocal can be really great. And so what I try to do is, since I'm interested in recording and then moving on to writing the next song, because they just kind of keep coming, I try to age it by playing it and living with it, and it plays in my head, and I go to bed and I'm thinking about it, and I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking about it, and then I try to put down a vocal delivery that I think is worthy of the song. And that's what I love about some of these vocal deliveries. Like, I think about some of these artists, like, just unbelievable vocal performances, and there are just, singer after singer with so much talent. And that's what you're hoping for, is when you go to record, for me at least, I'm hoping to deliver an honest rendition of that song that's not necessarily too doctored and doesn't sound like I have sung it a million times, but rather it sounds like, hopefully, I'm singing it from the very soul of what that song is all about and what the feeling of that song is about, because that's what I'm hoping to translate and communicate in the most honest way, so that when a listener hears it, if they connect with it, they're connecting with it because it's an authentic piece that resonates with them. And so that's what I'm hoping every song that I work on can really turn out to be. So anyway, I feel really good about what I've done today, and it was really super productive and super fun, and I can't wait to do it again, and I can't wait to get the lyrics all done and get in here and polish it and deliver what I hope is an awesome vocal performance for it as well. So anyway, hopefully that was enjoyable for you guys, and maybe you picked up some things. I'm interested in picking up some things from you as always. So if there's something that you saw in my process that you think, I might be able to tweak to improve or what have you, please let me know. I've been doing this for a very, very long time. And what I love about the process is every time I do it, I learn a little something new to tweak, something, none of the recording processes and the songwriting processes are identical. Those experiences are all kind of unique. And so I love to learn, from other people how they do it and pick up some tips along the way. And hopefully you picked up a lot of tips here in, how to write and record songs. So looking forward to seeing you guys next time. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and hit me up in the comments below with anything you'd like to see. If you had questions about this stuff, or if there's something that you want to see a little bit more clarity or detail on, or other subjects you want me to cover, let me know in the comments. And I can't wait to check them out, and can't wait to get you guys another video. So thanks for spending this time with me. I'm 59 watts, and in the meantime, love is in the making. So I'll see you next time. Take care.